Two of the pillars that made the United States and the West strong are the separation of church, mosque, and state, and freedom of religion. Without the separation of church, mosque, and state, and freedom of religion, countries do not advance. Creativity is thwarted. Mindless conformity is rewarded. Brutal, corrupt people rise to power and stay there. Free people do not have religion shoved down their throats. They are not forced to submit to the will of others that claim to speak for God. Freedom of religion and the separation of church, mosque, and state mean freedom to practice or not practice religion without being persecuted. It also means freedom to criticize, mock, and reject religion without being persecuted. Every theocratic nation is a failed nation. The few that are not poverty-stricken hellholes are such because of the oil and gas beneath their feet, not by virtue of anything they have accomplished or achieved. They rely on the West and an exploited, imported labor class. A nation such as Qatar squanders its oil and gas wealth to spread its religious intolerance and ideology of mindless conformity, bigotry, and hate. Afghanistan, Somalia are examples of what Qatar looks like without the oil and gas to sustain itself. Unproductive, intolerant, violent, poverty-stricken, child-marrying nations. Without oil and gas, every theocratic nation would be poverty-stricken. With or without oil and gas, every theocratic nation is an intolerant, child-marrying, oppressive, uncreative nation filled with mindless conformity. In those countries where there are religious minorities, persecution of these minorities is far too common. The people of Iran are freeing themselves from the brutal, repressive shackles of theocracy, while Turkey is regressing into the corrupt, brutal nightmare the Iranian people are fighting against. The Iranian people know the value of religious freedom and the separation of church, mosque, and state, which the United States and West seems to be forgetting. Free people are not murdered, as the unfree people of Iran have been, for something as petty and ridiculous as showing their hair, which has already happened to a number of women and girls in Iran, murdered and tortured and brutalized for such a petty, ridiculous reason as showing their hair and not covering their hair properly to the specifications of the brutal dictators. The enemies of freedom are many, and they do not want the Iranian people to succeed. Iranian people are liberating themselves. It is one of the few bright spots in the world. It is a light of hope for all of humanity that must not be shattered.